I am 31 and I have been engaged to my fiance Mara for a little over a year. We have been together for 5 years. Mara is kind, funny, and one of the most caring people I know. She remembers everyone's birthdays. She checks on friends when they are sick. She cries at animal rescue videos and once drove 2 hours to help my sister after her car broke down. That is the woman I fell in love with. The problem is that Mara is very good at caring about people, but not very good at managing her own life. At first, I thought she was just going through a difficult period. Her mother, Denise, is extremely controlling. Mara grew up being told what to wear, which friends were safe, which jobs were appropriate, and what choices would disappoint the family. Because of that, Mara freezes when she has to make decisions. She will spend 3 weeks researching something simple, then avoid it until someone else handles it. For years, that someone was usually me. I booked appointments. I reminded her about deadlines. I helped her answer emails. I filled out forms while she sat beside me saying she was too overwhelmed to think. I did not mind at first. Partners help each other, but over time, helping became managing, and managing became carrying. Mara has always wanted to become a firefighter. It has been her dream since she was a teenager. She talks about helping people, staying calm in emergencies, and doing work that matters. I supported her. I bought her a training manual for her birthday. I helped her find local preparation courses. I even changed my own schedule so we could train together in the mornings. The issue was that Mara liked the idea of the job much more than the preparation. She hated running. She missed the first training class because she stayed awake until 3 in the morning, worrying that everyone would be fitter than her. She failed the written entrance test once, then refused to take it again for almost a year because she said the instructor had made her feel stupid. Whenever I tried to talk about it, she became defensive. She would say, "You do not believe in me." I would answer, "I do believe in you. I just think you have to actually prepare." To Mara, those sentences meant the same thing. Last year, she quit her job at a dental office. She hated it, and I understood why. Her manager was rude. The hours changed constantly. She came home exhausted and anxious. Before she quit, I asked her to find another job first. She said she could not search properly while working there because it drained all her energy. We agreed that she could take 2 months off. I could cover more of the rent for that long, but she would still pay her own phone bill, transportation, and personal expenses from savings. She promised. 2 months became four, then six. She applied for a few jobs, but only positions she considered meaningful enough. She refused retail because she said it would look bad on her resume. She refused reception work because she had already done it. She refused temporary work because she wanted stability. Meanwhile, her savings disappeared. Then her mother started sending her money. I found out only because Denise called me and asked when I was going to step up. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Mara should not have to ask her mother for help when she has a fiance." That was the first time I learned Mara had borrowed almost $3,000 from her. I confronted Mara that evening. She cried immediately. She said she had been ashamed. I said, "I am not angry that you struggled. I am angry that you hid it." She said she knew I would judge her. I asked, "Did you think your mother would not?" She said, "At least she helped without making me feel like a failure." That hurt. For 6 months, I had paid most of our expenses, cooked almost every meal, handled the housework she said made her anxious, and driven her everywhere because she was afraid to drive on highways. But in her mind, asking questions meant I was not supportive. After that, we started arguing more often. Mara wanted to talk late at night. She would wait until I was in bed, then say, "We need to fix this right now." If I asked to continue in the morning, she said I was avoiding her. One night, the argument lasted until almost 2. I had to work at 7. I finally said, "I am going to sleep." She stood in the doorway and said, "If you cared about this relationship, you would not be able to sleep while I am hurting." I remember staring at her because I did care. That was the problem. I cared enough to keep sacrificing sleep, money, and peace so she would never have to sit with discomfort. The situation became worse when her parents stopped speaking to each other. They had been unhappy for years, but they stayed in the same house. Mara became their messenger. Her mother would call and say, "Tell your father I am not attending Sunday dinner." Her father would text, "Ask your mother what she did with the insurance papers." Mara hated it. She would call me afterward and cry. I told her to stop carrying messages. She said she could not because her mother had sacrificed everything for her. Then the messages started coming through me. Denise would contact me if Mara ignored her. Her father would ask me to convince Mara to visit. I told both of them to speak directly to their daughter. Denise said I was isolating Mara from her family. Mara said nothing. Later, she told me I had embarrassed her mother. I said, "Your parents are using both of us to avoid speaking to each other." She replied, "They are still my parents." I said, "That does not make this healthy." She looked at me and said, "You always think your way is the mature way." The turning point came 3 weeks ago. Mara had finally scheduled the next firefighter entrance test. I was genuinely happy for her. For 6 weeks, I made a training plan. I woke up early to exercise with her. I cooked healthier meals. I tested her on the written material. She missed several workouts, but I tried not to criticize her. The night before the test, she called her mother. Denise told her she was not ready and would embarrass herself. Mara panicked. She said she felt dizzy. She said she could not breathe. She said she knew she would fail. I stayed with her for hours. By morning, she had decided not to go. I was disappointed, but I kept my voice calm. I said, "You cannot keep letting fear make every decision." She started crying. Then she said, "You wanted me to fail." I honestly thought I had misheard her. I asked, "Why would I spend 6 weeks helping you if I wanted you to fail?" She said, "Because then you get to prove I cannot do anything without you." Something in me changed. I had heard similar comments before. If I cooked, I was controlling what we ate. If I reminded her about a deadline, I was treating her like a child. If I did not remind her, I had let her fail. If I paid for something, I was using money to control her. If I asked her to contribute, I cared more about money than love. There was no version of helping that did not eventually become evidence against me. I said, "I cannot keep building a life for you and then being blamed because it does not feel like yours." She went silent. Then she asked whether I was ending the engagement. I said, "I do not know." That was the most honest answer I had. Mara left and went to her parents' house. Within 2 hours, Denise called me. She said Mara was devastated. She said a man should protect the woman he plans to marry. I told her protection was not the same as doing everything for someone. She replied, "Mara needs patience. You knew she was sensitive." That sentence sounded familiar, as if loving someone meant agreeing in advance to absorb every consequence of their choices. Mara's father called later. He surprised me by saying she has to learn sometime. Then he asked me to tell Denise that he would not be home for dinner. I laughed. I could not help it. I said, "No, tell her yourself." He hung up on me. For the next week, Mara and I barely spoke. Then she asked to meet. We sat in a quiet park near our apartment. She looked tired. She apologized for saying I wanted her to fail. She admitted she knew it was not true when she said it. She said she felt so ashamed that blaming me was easier than admitting she had backed out again. I appreciated the honesty. Then she said something I did not expect. She said, I do not know which parts of my life are actually mine. Her mother had always made decisions for her. Then I came along and made different decisions, even if I meant well. Mara said she had spent so long waiting for approval that she did not know how to act without it. I told her I understood, but I also said, I cannot become the person you blame for having the power you keep handing me. She nodded. We agreed to postpone the wedding. Mara moved into her aunt's spare room instead of coming home. She found a part time job at a garden center. It is not her dream job, but it is hers. She also started therapy. For the first time, she told her parents she would not carry messages between them. Her mother reacted badly. She accused me of putting the idea in her head. Mara told her, he did not make this decision. I did. I was proud of her. But I also knew one boundary did not erase years of patterns. We are still together, technically. We see each other once or twice a week. I no longer remind her about appointments. I do not manage her schedule. I do not contact her parents for her. Sometimes she handles things well. Sometimes she misses something and becomes upset. The difference is that I let the consequence belong to her. That sounds simple. It is not. Watching someone you love struggle when you could step in feels cruel, but stepping in every time was slowly destroying both of us. She became less confident. I became more resentful. Mara has rescheduled the firefighter test for later this year. This time, she made her own training plan. She asked whether I would run with her once a week. I said yes, once a week, not every morning, not as her coach, not as the person responsible for whether she shows up, just as her partner. She seemed disappointed at first. Then she said she understood. I still do not know whether we will get married. I love her. I also know love is not enough if one person has to become the other person's parent, manager, and emotional shield. Mara says she is changing. I believe she is trying. But part of me wonders whether I have already become someone I do not want to be with her. She thinks postponing the wedding means I do not trust her. Maybe she is right. I do not trust promises anymore. I trust patterns. And right now, her new pattern is only a few weeks old. So this is where we are. She wants me to choose hope. I want time. She says love means believing someone can change. I think love also means being honest about what happened if they do not. Who is being unfair here? Am I abandoning her when she is finally trying? Or am I allowed to wait until her life stops, depending on me to hold it together?